Hi guys, Inky here. Tonight we're going to have a fight. We've got the OBS Cryos tank and the Griffin RTA by Geek Vape. Got these a couple of weeks ago, and ever since I've had them, people on Vapors Worldwide and various other places have been asking me which one I think's the best. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the table, have a look through. I'll show you all the bits and bobs, show you the ins and outs of both tanks, build decks, etc. And then what we'll do is we'll come back up and I'll go through all the pros and cons of each, and if we've got a winner. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so what we've got here in constituent parts is the this side is the Griffin RTA by Geek Vape, which comes in a box like this, orange and black affair with all sorts of gubbins inside it, spares, toolkits, etc. And on this side here we have the OBS Cryos, which comes in a purple and black box like that. I'm not going to go into them because boxes are boring. Right, so first of all, let's have a look at the similarities and the differences. Okay, so here we have on the left, here we have the chimney or chamber, I want to say, of the Griffin. Nice little Griffin laser etched on the side there. As you can see, quite big, quite spacious. Now these little holes around the side, they're the juice flow control, which is very simple, works very well. All the threading on this is absolutely immaculate on both inside and out. Very little machine oil on this. Okay, and now we have the Cryos, which has the Cryos name laser etched on it. For some reason there's a big blob of metal took out of the C on my Cryos part. No idea why. I just think that the laser must have gone a bit deeper than it should have done. And then OBS on the back. Nice grippy knurly bits at the top here. Again, an O-ring like the Griffin has, an O-ring there for situating the glass tank on it. Threads on this, again, very good. And again, with this one, neither of them actually had any issues with machine oil. A little bit of a sniff of it, but nothing major. One little clean and it was good to go. Now this is the Pyrex glass section for the Griffin, and this is the one for the OBS Cryos. Now, as you can probably see, the OBS Cryos one is actually a slightly smaller diameter, and it's a little bit shorter. If you can see that, a little bit shorter. Now, that's quite astounding. Well, it's not if you think about it. The Griffin and the OBS Cryos hold differing amounts of juice. Now you would think bigger glass section, bigger amount of juice. Well, no, that's not the case because of this huge, great big chamber and this tiny little chamber. There's the difference. The OBS Cryos holds 5 ml of e-liquid. The Griffin holds only 3.5. And it is purely because of the amount of room that is taken up by the actual deck and the chamber on the outside. Right, okay, now we'll get to the top part. Now on the Griffin, as you can see, if I hold it in front of the camera it might help. As you can see, we've got Geek Vape engraved on the side and the outside there. We have a Delrin wide bore drip tip, which pops into the top here. Now, can you see what's wrong there? Although that is a huge, great big chimney, it's nowhere near drip tip huge. Kind of pointless, Geek Vape. If you're going to make a huge, great big drip tip like that, then your chimney needs to be that wide too. Otherwise, there's really no point, because doesn't matter how fat this drip tip is, there's only this much air coming through. So that's a little thing, but actually it is a very comfortable drip tip and I quite like it, so I use it. There is a drip tip adapter that comes with it, that's in the box, which I didn't show you because boxes are boring. And basically this unscrews like so, and you've got your juice flow holes up the top. Massive great big slots there that just basically you can just pour your juice through. But we'll look at that again once we've got the tank put together. Right, so that's the Griffin. Now, OBS Cryos, this is all one piece. You've got a, what I think is, it sounds like it's glass. It doesn't feel like it's glass when it's in your mouth, and it just fills up with condensation and gets covered in lip gunk, and to be honest, to me it looks ugly as sin and I don't like it. So that drip tip doesn't get used by me, but it's a perfectly decent drip tip. It fits. You've got, as you can see there's the hole for the chimney, a lot smaller than on the Griffin. There is less airflow on the Cryos, to be honest, but it's still decent. Now this is the interesting part. If you can see just on the side there's like a little droplet, and it says up on it. And basically all you do when you want to fill this one is you just pull that up, and there you can see is a huge great big slot that has the chimney running through the middle of it. But as you can see, if I put my screwdriver in there, there is a massive great big hole, which, yeah, you'll probably see it there like that, which is great for filling, because you literally just close off the airflow, pop this open, bung your juice in there, push it down, open up your airflow, and away you go. Brilliant, really simple, very clever, very ingenious little solution to the top filling of juice. Okay, so now we're getting to the build decks. The build deck, here we have the Velocity Style V3. This is the version 3 deck for the Cryos, which has got the Velocity Style 2-post 4-hole design. Decent airflow holes down the bottom there underneath my coils. These coils are little tiny freebie coils that came with it, to be honest. And I bunged them in. I like them so much I've kept them in there, and there's a few spares in the box as well, so they're actually decent little coils. I'd say probably about 2mm. And then, as you can see on the top here, you've got like a ring that runs round the outside. Now this is an idea that I first saw on the Cthulhu V2, and I'm glad to see it's on this one and on the Griffin, which we'll show you in a sec. Basically all you do is you get your cotton through your coil, and you just pop it down into that little hole there, and then just make sure that there's no cotton visible in this little hole where the rest of the juice flow is. So the juice comes in here, comes up the side of the juice flow into where your cotton's just sitting in the top of here. Now if you do it that way, I've found it wicks just brilliantly. I've not had any issues with dry hits whatsoever, and the flavour and vapour off of it has been fantastic. Love these Velocity style decks, brilliant to work on. Now these post holes, to be honest, I think they're probably about 1.5mm, maybe 1mm. They're not very big, so you're not going to get great big hoofing wire in here. But then the chamber is that much smaller on the Cryos, so well, you know, it's a decent sized deck to work on. It's certainly a damn sight easier than stuff like the Goblin, or even the Cthulhu for that matter, or the Belus. You know, it's really easy because of these Velocity style decks, and yeah, it's a decent size, and wicking's not an issue either. Okay, so let's have a look at the Griffin. Now the Griffin deck, as you can see, is considerably bigger. Up until fairly recently, I think this was one of the largest RTA decks with the Velocity style, until the VCMTs came out with the 25mm and 30mm, and they've got like build decks that match the size. But this again, it's got the little ring running round for the, like we said before, with the just dipping the cotton into that area there. All the threading again on this, absolutely brilliant, really clean. Now the the holes in the posts are, I believe, let me just check to make sure, but they're 2mm, those holes. So they're nice and big. You can pretty much fit anything in here. You can get Clapton wire in here. You can do what you like, really. I've got some fairly large gauge wire in here right now. I think it's 0.55mm Kanthal in there. I'm not entirely sure. I can't really remember what I put in there now. But those are 3.5mm coils, as you can see. Massive, great big coils. Loads of surface area, and the airflow holes underneath are big and brilliant. Loads and loads of airflow on this bugger, and as you can see, very cleanly engineered again, very nicely machined. No burrs, no scratches, no little machine marks or anything like that. Really, really nicely made, and a joy to work on. It's actually, this is easier to work on than the Cryos. And again, you can fit in these big fat coils if you want to. Now this one, the resistance on this build is also around the 0.32 mark, and obviously performs really, really nicely. And as I said, with both of them, I've had no issues with wicking. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put the Griffin back together. So we'll just pop the chamber back on, get the glass on. I've got the green O-rings in here. You can't really see them once they're in, but it's just a little flash of green there. It comes with clear ones, I believe, when installed, but I changed them out for the green ones because I like green. And yeah, so now I've got the tank actually put together. You might be able to see that you can see the juice flow holes open, and then you just turn the tank and now they are closed. The airflow control is nice and smooth, and it stops, so you can actually get a grip once you've actually stopped it. You can actually use that to, once it reaches its stopping point, it helps with unscrewing the tank when you're taking it apart to clean it and stuff, which is good. But there's plenty of knurling. I love the design on this. I think it's great, and the drip tip's a joy to use as well. And I've still got water in it from when I cleaned it. Okay, so let's put the Cryos back together. Again, lovely threading, nice grippy bit. This doesn't, I don't think the airflow, yeah, the airflow on this one locks as well. So there we go. And again, you've got the get the tank on, screw the top part on. And there we are, all done up. Right, and as you can see, if I turn the tank with this, with it open, there's open, turn it again, closed. And then just literally just pop that top open and fill her up. So, Griffin, Cryos, head-to-head battle, both excellently made, very well priced RTAs. We'll get up top and we'll talk about them, and I'll give you my thoughts. Hi guys, so we're back up now, and we've got the OBS Cryos and the Griffin by Geek Vape. Both of them are built to, let me see, 0.32, and this one is at 0.36, so the Griffin's a little bit higher, but similar kind of builds anyway. I've been vaping them both with various different liquids, but the big test for me is Dibner's Delight, which is my favourite e-liquid. It's my all-day vape, so I know what it tastes like, I know how it performs, and so it's a good one for me to use in this kind of comparison. what I'll do is I'll go through the two tanks individually, and then we'll see if we've got a winner at the end of it. So first off, we've got the ABS Cryos. Plenty of airflow, a really good, nice wicking, nicely made. I love the top air top fill method on this. It's particularly nice. I like the styling on it. These little sort of swooshes on the top of the tank there, which are just very nice. It's not the tallest, it's not the shortest, but it's a nice, sleek looking tank. Bags of flavour, bags of vapour, really easy to build. Trying to think of any negatives. I guess a little negative would be the fact that the build deck is that bit smaller, and that the post holes are a little bit small, so you can only put in your normal kind of RTA builds in here. Performance wise though, it's great. I've not had any issues with wicking, I've not had any issues with dry hits, no leaking. The top fill works extremely well, and all in all, it's a great looking tank. And the taste from it is really, the flavour is just really crisp and just delicious. It's a great little tank. Around about the 20 sort of £25, £28, that kind of region. Yeah, I'll try and find some links and stick them in the comment section below for this one. And what I'll do now is we'll have a little chat about the Griffin. The Griffin, well, it's got more airflow, it's got a bigger build deck, it's got just as good flavour in my opinion. The top fill isn't quite as cool as on the Cryos, but it works, and it works well. Both of them have got the juice cut off, which works exceptionally well. Again, this one, because of the little ring that we showed in the up close, both really easy to wick, both really easy to sort of get a good wicking, no dry hits, no leaking. Excellent, both extremely well built. I think the Griffin with the larger build deck has a slight edge over the ABS Cryos, but it is a slight one. To be honest, if you put me on the spot and I could only have one of these, luckily I've got both. I've had them both. I think the Griffin turned up a day before the Cryos did, and I thought, oh, I'm going to prefer the Griffin to the Cryos. It's a tricky one. It really is a tricky one. If you've got the chance to have both, I would have both. I think the only negative to the Griffin is the fact that because the build deck's so much larger, it's only got a 3.5mm capacity, so you're filling it up a little bit more often. The Cryos has got a 5mm tank, but a smaller build deck, so it's a little bit more tricky, and you can't put, I mean, you could put Claptons in the Griffin. So if you're looking at this video for a clear-cut winner, I'm sorry, but I can't give you one. Like I was saying, if I was put on the spot and I could only actually have one of them, I think I probably would go for the Griffin. The Griffin is a nice looking tank. It's very simplistic. It's very easy to use. The build deck is huge. The post holes are like 2mm. You can fit all sorts of crazy wire and builds in there. They both produce excellent vapor. They both produce really good flavour. Maybe the flavour a tiny little bit sharper on the Cryos, but that's probably down to the fact that the chamber is a little bit smaller. The airflow on the Griffin is bigger. It's a much more whooshier, sort of smoother airflow on the Griffin. So yeah, I mean, if I had to pick just one, it probably would be the Griffin, just purely because it's so much more versatile. You can put whatever build you want in there, and you get a little bit more airflow. However, having said that, if you're after something that holds a decent amount of juice, produces really good flavour, and does have good airflow and good flavour, you won't go far wrong with the Cryos. So we're kind of going round in circles here. They're both really good RTAs, and especially for they're both in the same kind of price range. They're both of the same kind of build quality. If you can only afford to get one, either of these will do you. Now, you know, the choice that you're going to make is based purely on your vaping style and what kind of builds you're going to be putting in. If you're not into your crazy Claptons, and you're not into particularly low builds with thick wires and all that kind of stuff, then the Cryos is going to be more in your ballpark. But it's still a cracking little, you know, sub-ohm dual coil RTA. The Griffin is more for your more interesting twisted builds, bigger coils, bit more surface area, bit more vapor. It's a bit more of a cloud chucker, although I don't really like to use that phrase too often. But they're both great. So we'll leave it there. I personally would take the Griffin over the Cryos, but it's like, it's a gnat's whisker of, you know, the difference between the two is so slim. The pros and cons kind of offset one another so much that it is really difficult to choose. It's like trying to choose between your children. It's a very tricky one. So the choice is yours, really. And I know that's probably not that helpful, but hopefully some of the things that I've pointed out will give you a bit more of an idea. If you're just going to buy one, which one you're going to go for. If you've liked the video, please press there. I'll stop being able to talk soon. If you liked this video, please press like, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do that as well, because I'm going to try and bring out as many videos as I can, as regularly as I can, and I'll see you soon. Take care.